to fang-loaded fish that rip flesh just for the thrill. No, this isn't some nightmare-fueled hallucination. Welcome to Amazon, a place teeming with creatures so wild, so disturbing, you'll wonder how they even exist on the same planet as us. So, grab your torch, steady your nerves, and whatever you do, don't turn around. We're venturing deep into the darkest reaches of the rainforest, where the beasts only get more terrifying the further we go. Terrifying titans, Amazonian snakes. When it comes to nightmare-inducing animals, it's hard to top the serpents of the Amazon, and none make a bolder, more bone-chilling entrance than the legendary green anaconda. These muscular giants can grow up to 30 feet in length, with a girth nearly a foot wide. Weighing in at up to 550 pounds, the biggest of them outweighs the average human by more than threefold. But it's not just their bulk that's terrifying, it's what they do with it. Green anacondas don't rely on venom to hunt. Instead, they ambush, latch on, and constrict, wrapping their massive coils around victims and squeezing tighter and tighter until the poor creature can't breathe anymore. And once the struggling stops, dinner is served. Yeah, let's just say you don't want to be anywhere near when one of these silent stalkers decides it's feeding time. Now you might think, okay, I'll just dive into the river and swim to safety. Yeah, not happening. Green anacondas have mastered the water just as well as the land. These semi-aquatic predators can remain submerged for over 10 minutes at a time, waiting patiently, silently, beneath the surface for prey to pass. And thanks to the placement of their nostrils and eyes on the tops of their heads, they can breathe and observe while barely revealing themselves. They're practically built for ambush. In short, whether on land or in water, there's no easy escape. But as terrifying as the green anaconda is, there may have once been an even bigger snake slithering through the shadows of the ancient Amazon. Titanoboa, the real monster snake. Let's rewind about 60 million years. Back then, the Amazon was home to a prehistoric predator that made today's reptiles look like toys. This ancient snake was a true titan among titans, measuring up to 50 feet long and tipping the scales at a monstrous 2,500 pounds. Imagine something that big slithering toward you. Yeah, terrifying. Thankfully, scientists say it went extinct around 58 million years ago. But that hasn't stopped the legends. Stories have surfaced over the years, especially one from British explorer Percy Fawcett, who described seeing a snake so massive it stretched over 60 feet in total, partially submerged in Amazonian waters. He claimed, "We approached the beast cautiously. About 45 feet was visible above the surface and another 17 feet beneath." Though many brushed it off as an exaggerated explorer's tale, let's not forget, the Amazon spans over 2.5 million square miles. That's more than 10 times the size of France, and a whole lot of space for something enormous to hide in. Still think Titanoboa is just a fossil? The Yakumama. Myth or menace? If ancient snakes weren't enough, Amazonian folklore speaks of something even more terrifying, the Yakumama. According to indigenous legends, this mythical beast is considered the mother of all aquatic life, a serpent that supposedly stretches up to 200 feet in length. That's 6 times the size of a fully grown green anaconda. But it's not just its size that's alarming. Local tales claim the Yakumama can suck in anything within a 100-pixel radius, a living, breathing vacuum of doom. Worse yet, the stories say it can whip up whirlpools by thrashing its body through the water, dragging boats and anything in them down to the depths. One account from the early 1900s tells of 2 men who saw something massive in the river. Panicked, they dropped explosives into the water. After the blast, an enormous creature erupted from the surface and then vanished into the depths, leaving only ripples and terror. So, is there a skyscraper-sized serpent lurking in the rainforest? Or are these just spooky stories passed through generations? That's for you to decide. Let me know what you think in the comments. So, you thought gigantic snakes were bad? Welcome to Amazon, where even the smallest creatures are capable of nightmares. Let's talk about something with a name so disturbing, you already know it's bad news. The vampire wasp. Discovered as recently as 2023, these winged terrors might only be about 0.7 inches long, but they've got a horrifying trick up their exoskeleton. When a female vampire wasp finds a target, usually a caterpillar, beetle, or spider, she doesn't just sting it. She injects it with an egg, using her ovipositor, a sharp needle-like organ that looks straight out of a sci-fi horror film. And it gets worse. After the injection, she drinks the insect's hemolymph, a blood-like fluid inside the bug, slurping it from the puncture wound like some insect Dracula. And just when you think it can't get grosser, a few days later, the egg hatches inside the host. The larva begins eating its way out, consuming the host from within. Yeah, I'll take a regular bee sting over that any day. All of a sudden, hornets seem kind of cuddly. Vampire fish, real river terrors. Since we're already talking about bloodsuckers, let's dive into the river and meet one of the most intimidating fish around. The payara, also known as the vampire fish. These fang-filled nightmares can grow up to 4 feet long and sport 2 horrifying 6-inch fangs on their lower jaw. Yes, 6-inch fangs longer than most steak knives, and they use them too. Payaras aren't just for show. They actively hunt and impale other fish, even piranha, without hesitation. Though there've been no verified attacks on humans, just knowing these beasts swim in the same water is enough to make anyone think twice before taking a dip. But the Amazon River is far from done showing off its horrors. The dolphin that bites. Now, when you think of dolphins, you probably imagine friendly, intelligent creatures leaping through waves, right? Not these. Amazon River dolphins, also known as boto, are pink-skinned predators that can be just as aggressive as the most vicious fish they share the water with. Sure, they'll chow down on piranhas, but they've also been known to turn on humans. With 28 pairs of razor-sharp molars in their jaws, these river dwellers have quite the bite. In 2023, a 28-year-old woman found that out the hard way. While wading in the river, she noticed one swimming nearby, calm, curious, almost playful. But without warning, the dolphin lunged, sinking its teeth into her leg and holding on for a full 20 seconds. She survived, thankfully, but not without some serious tissue damage to her foot. Who knew even the dolphins in the Amazon could make you regret going for a swim? Whether it's wasps that inject their babies into live prey, fang-toothed fish that impale piranhas, or dolphins with a hunger for more than fish, the Amazon isn't just home to rare creatures. It's a parade of predators with a flair for the gruesome. And we're just getting started. Just when you think things couldn't get weirder in the Amazon, here comes a bug that wants to kiss you. Literally. But before you imagine anything romantic, meet the kissing bug, a creature that's as disgusting as it is dangerous.
The spread of the so-called kissing bug. The name sounds sweet, but they can pass on a deadly disease.
Found across Central and South America, these nocturnal insects are known for one thing: sneaking up on sleeping animals and sipping their blood. Sounds bad? Oh, it gets worse. When it comes to humans, kissing bugs aim for the face, specifically the lips. That's how they earned their disturbingly affectionate name. The bite itself? Surprisingly painless. But the real horror starts after the bite. You see, once these creepy crawlers have had their fill, they'll poop near the wound. No joke. And if their feces happen to contain a certain parasite called Trypanosoma cruzi, and it gets into your body, you're in big trouble. That's the start of Chagas disease, an illness that initially causes fever, muscle pain, and headaches. But for around 30% of infected people, it can escalate into serious long-term conditions like digestive issues, heart failure, and even cardiac arrest. Yup, these little bugs are responsible for around 12,000 deaths every year, all from a blood-sucking insect that kisses you and craps on your face. Spiny devil katydid. Next up is something that sounds like a villain straight out of a monster movie, the spiny devil katydid. At just about 3 inches long, they might not seem all that terrifying at first. But don't let the size fool you. This insect is a walking arsenal. Its entire body, from its legs to its head, is covered in thorn-like spikes. It's like a tiny medieval weapon with wings. Those spines aren't for show either. When threatened, the katydid will jab and thrash its legs, turning into a spiky death trap for predators and prey alike. And even without fangs or venom, they've got massive mandibles that can chomp through skin. That's right, people have reported that their bites can break through human flesh. Luckily, they're not hunting us. They prefer seeds, fruit, and unfortunate insects that get caught in their thorny grip. Still, the idea of a spiny, blade-legged insect lurking somewhere in the underbrush? Yeah, I'm staying out of that jungle. Mapinguari, the Amazon Sasquatch? And now, things get seriously strange. In 2014, a group of berry pickers ventured deep into the Brazilian rainforest. What started as a normal day turned into a horror story. They heard a bizarre, bone-chilling roar echoing through the trees. One of them mimicked it, trying to identify the source. That's when it got closer. Then crack. Something huge crashed through the foliage. What they saw froze them in place. A towering, hairy beast with a single flaming red eye was staring them down. Terrified, they sprinted back to their canoe and fled. They made it out unharmed physically, at least, but swore never to return to that part of the forest. So, what did they see? Some believe it was the Mapinguari, a legendary monster said to roam the Amazon. According to Brazilian folklore, this creature stands over 7 feet tall, walks on either 2 or 4 legs, has a thick coat of shaggy fur, and sports a cyclops-like eye in the middle of its head. Sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, right? Yet, biologist David Oren took these tales seriously. He recorded over 80 reports of Mapinguari sightings. Still, many experts believe there's a far more rational explanation. Most likely, the elusive spectacled bear is a real animal that occasionally wanders down from the mountains into the western Amazon. They walk on all 4s, but when threatened, can rise to nearly 7 feet tall. And with unique markings on their face, those terrified berry pickers might have mistaken natural fur patterns for a single glowing eye, especially in the dense, shadowy rainforest. So, is there a mythical monster stalking the jungle? Or is it just a case of mistaken identity? For now, the Mapinguari remains one of the Amazon's most mysterious and spine-tingling legends. You've seen the horrors that crawl, slither, and swim. But don't look up, because even the skies above the Amazon are out for blood. Let's start with one of the most fearsome birds on Earth, the harpy eagle. With its striking crown of feathers, fierce gaze, and a thick, muscular body, this apex predator looks like it flew straight out of a fantasy novel. But make no mistake, this bird is very real, and it's terrifying. Harpy eagles boast a 7.5-foot wingspan and can weigh up to 20 pounds, making them one of the largest eagles in the world and the undisputed king of the Amazon skies. But what sends a chill down your spine are those 5-inch talons, the longest claws of any eagle species. To put that into perspective, they're roughly the same size as a grizzly bear's claws. Armed with these deadly weapons, harpy eagles can snatch prey from the treetops with ease. 2-foot-long howler monkeys? Gone. 8-pound sloths? No problem. Even young deer have fallen victim to their death grip. It's not just the talons or strength, it's the precision. Harpy eagles strike like guided missiles, making them one of the most efficient killers in the jungle. Harpy eagle? More like harpy evil. Spectral bat, the phantom of the forest. If you thought bats were just tiny, fluttery night dwellers, think again. The spectral bat, also known as the false vampire bat, is the largest in the Western Hemisphere. Its wingspan stretches over 3 feet, making it bigger than most house cats. And sure, it looks creepy soaring through the moonlit jungle, but wait till you see its face. Spectral bats have menacing ears, elongated snouts, and fangs that wouldn't look out of place in a horror movie. This isn't some fruit-nibbling bat. This is a hunter. These winged predators swoop down from the canopy, striking from above with chilling precision. Their targets? Small birds, rodents, and yes, sometimes even other bats. They go straight for the head or neck, delivering a fatal bite with razor-sharp teeth. Talk about betrayal. These guys are bat-on-bat brutal. While they don't attack humans, just the sight of one flapping overhead is enough to make you rethink your night hike. Amazon giant leech, the bloodsucker below. As if fanged birds and flying killers weren't enough, let's head down to the forest floor where something slimy and sinister slithers in the shadows. Introducing the Amazon giant leech. These oversized parasites can grow up to 18 inches long, making them almost 9 times larger than your average leech. And while their size is disturbing enough, it's how they feed that'll haunt your dreams. Rather than nibbling around the edges like normal leeches, these giants use their long, muscular proboscis to drill 6 inches into their host's flesh, sucking up blood like a living syringe. Sounds excruciating, right? But the victim won't even feel it. These leeches release a cocktail of anesthetics to numb the area, as well as anticoagulants to keep the blood flowing freely. It's a buffet, and you won't even know it's happening. Back in the late 1800s, there were claims that infestations of these monsters could even be fatal to livestock like horses and cattle. Though modern scientists say that's likely exaggerated, it's still believed a single feeding session can drain around half an ounce of blood. That may not kill you, but the idea of something cat-sized sliding up your leg and plunging a needle-like mouth half a foot into your skin? Yeah, no thanks. The skies, the shadows, and the soil in the Amazon, nothing is safe, not even the ground beneath your feet. And the deeper we go, the stranger and scarier things are about to get. At this point, it's clear. Amazon doesn't do normal. But if you thought you'd be safe in the river, you haven't met its freakiest fish. Let's begin with the sheep's head fish. From the outside, looks like any other average swimmer. But take a peek inside its mouth if you dare, and you'll find a nightmarish set of human-like molars. No joke, it's like dentures were jammed into a fish's face. These teeth are used to crush the shells of crustaceans and mollusks, but imagine getting nipped by something with a smile like your dentist. Creepy? Absolutely. But we're only getting started. Pacu, the piranha's cursed cousin. Meet the pacu, a close relative of the piranha, except this guy is bigger, weirder, and maybe even more terrifying. Pacu can grow over 3 feet long and weigh nearly 90 pounds. Like the sheep's head, they're known for their unsettling teeth, flat, squared off, and uncannily human. They typically use those molars to crush nuts and seeds that fall into the river. But rumors have circulated for years about pacus mistaking a different kind of nut for food when unsuspecting swimmers take a dip. Yep, you read that right. Although there's no official confirmation, let's just say the idea of a testicle-chomping fish isn't something anyone's in a rush to test. Even if you're not a guy, though, these fish can still pack a punch. In 2004, a young girl dipped her hand into a pacu tank. One of the fish latched onto her finger and refused to let go. She needed plastic surgery to repair the damage. Suddenly, piranhas don't sound so bad. Candiru, the river's most infamous parasite. If your instinct is to stay out of the water altogether, you're on the right track, especially if you've ever heard of the candiru. This tiny parasitic catfish only grows about an inch long, but its reputation is enough to make grown men tremble. Why? Because legend has it, the candiru is drawn to urine, and if someone happens to pee in the river, the fish might swim upstream into their urethra. Yes, you heard that correctly. Once inside, it locks itself in place using spines on its gills, causing excruciating pain and requiring surgical removal. Yikes. Now, to be fair, science casts doubt on these stories. Only one case has ever been documented back in 1997, and even that account has been questioned due to inconsistencies. Plus, modern research suggests candiru hunt by sight, not smell, making the pea-seeking missile theory unlikely. But still true or not, are you gonna risk it? Great Potu, the bird that watches. We've seen monsters in the water, sky, and soil, but few things are as eerily unsettling as the great Potu. This strange bird looks like it belongs in a haunted forest. With its gray feathers, haunting black eyes, and a bizarrely wide mouth, it perches on tree stumps, blending into the bark so perfectly it almost disappears. But here's the creepy part. Even with its eyes closed, the Potu can still see. Slits in its eyelids allow it to detect motion, meaning it's always watching even when it appears asleep. And at night, the real nightmare begins. The Potu opens its gaping mouth to catch insects midair and lets out a ghostly, low-pitched wailing cry that echoes through the jungle like something out of a horror movie. Seriously, just listening to it is enough to raise every hair on your neck. So there you have it, a tour through some of the scariest, strangest, and most sinister creatures the Amazon has to offer. Now tell me which creature gave you the biggest chills. Drop your answer in the comments below, and if you're brave enough, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wild content. Thanks for watching, and maybe think twice before booking that jungle tour.